Jesus is executed. We would all agree that death is the final setback, right? There's no recovery. There's no second chances. It is final. Death is the end, right? There's only two things that are certain: death and taxes. It's going to happen. It's coming. And so maybe you've experienced death in your life. Maybe you've experienced the death of a dream, or felt like your faith has died, or you lost somebody and you feel like the light in your life has gone out because of this death. Because death is a setback that won't be denied. And in Jesus' case, it was the most heinous and brutal death. The man who said that he's God himself, hope incarnate, was dead. And all hope hung on the cross with him. His followers scattered after his public death. Everything Jesus said had to be a lie, because you can't be a king if you're dead. He did nothing he promised, and he hung there like a common criminal. Here's what John 19:17 says. Carrying the cross by himself, Jesus went to the place called the place of the skull, in Hebrew, Golgotha. And there they nailed him to the cross. Two others were crucified with him, one on either side, with Jesus in between him. Jesus was killed, executed, murdered on a cross. Again, the Romans are experts at inflicting pain. The word excruciating, again, was invented to mean out of the cross, because there was no word in Greek or Latin that could properly capture the idea of how painful it was to be executed on a cross. Historians say that proper people didn't even mention crucifixion because it was nauseous-inducing. The Jewish historian Josephus called it the most wretched of deaths. It's meant to mock you, criticize you, hang you publicly naked for the world to shame you. It's not just about death, it's about humiliation. For people to know that this person is the worst of the worst. Death by crucifixion was meant to be an obscene, disgraceful, horrific death. It was made to strip a man of all dignity, to hang them naked in front of a crowd where they can mock them and jeer this utter failure. Some would call that a setback. And understand that this is what happened to God. This is what happened to the creator of the universe, who let his creation betray him and abandon him and falsely accuse him and torture him and beat him and execute him. The only sinless person in all of human history experienced more setbacks, to put it mildly, than the mind could conceive. But now he was dead, and so the story is over. Forget setback, it is done. He's in the grave and buried, and that's what the logical conclusion would be. And maybe you felt like you're in the grave. Your setbacks are done. You have the death of a dream, the death of a friend, you have the death of hope, you have death of faith. It's in the ground, and it is done. And that's where it will always be, because death has always been the end. Until Jesus. Until Jesus changed everything. Because he came to overcome the setback. He came to overcome sin, hell, and the grave. Not just to say it, but to do it. And so that is what Jesus did in his comeback. Because his comeback was so overwhelming, so monumentous, so all-encompassing, so incorruptible, so unstoppable. It changed everything we know about death and eternity. Because if a guy can predict not only his death, but his resurrection, and then pull it off, that guy's worth following. And that's what people have done for 2,000 years. Here's a spoiler alert for next week. The comeback will end all setbacks. And I don't want to step on that, but I want us to understand that that same comeback gives us a security, a confidence that the setback is not the last thing we will experience. No setback is final, not even death, when Jesus is the comeback king. But this new life will cost us our old one. We can't just add Jesus to our setbacks. The setbacks stay in the grave. But walk out with Jesus. Only walking out with Jesus leads to new life. Here's what Paul writes in Romans 6, 5-9.